There's a myth in Scrum that you spend more time talking than doing. I see this quite a lot. People talking, usually people are using old school terminology. When you hear them talking about that, you hear them talking about ceremonies, right, rather than events. And one of the main reasons why Scrum doesn't call the activities, the events, ceremonies, is because it's ceremonies. We get together and nothing happens. It's a ceremony. It's something we do that's perhaps the same every time, and there's no actual outcome to a ceremony apart from maybe people have some jollies and they feel good, right? The reason Scrum calls them events and also not meetings, the reason they're called events is something's supposed to happen there. Every single one of the Scrum events serves empiricism. That's their purpose, right? You're going to inspect something and adapt something. If you're not adapting, there's no point in being there. There's no point in having it. There's no point in doing it. Their purpose is to adapt. So, for example, at your sprint planning, you're inspecting your product backlog and your product goal, and you're adapting your sprint backlog and your sprint goal. That emerges through that, perhaps through that conversation, right? But at the end of your sprint planning, you should have a sprint goal. You should have selected backlog items. What do the developers think best serves working towards the product goal? And you should have some kind of a starter plan to complete them. If those three things don't exist at the end of sprint planning, there was no point in having it. That's what it's there for, so that we understand what it is we're going to take into the next sprint, so that we can communicate that perhaps with other people. What's our goal for this sprint? What are we trying to achieve? How do you get stakeholders to actually turn up for the sprint review? Well, you have to give them something that they're interested in coming in, providing feedback on. That's your sprint goal, right? And that's just one of the events in Scrum. Your daily Scrum, it's only 15 minutes. How does that add up to a boatload of meetings? At most 15 minutes per day, where the team gets together and plans the next 24 hours. That's its purpose. You're inspecting your existing sprint backlog, and you're adapting that sprint backlog based on what you learned in the last 24 hours. You might have learned some stuff from actually working on the product, what can and cannot be done. You might have gained more information and insight from other stakeholders and collaborating with the business and doing analysis on what it is you're going to work on. That means that something that you've got in the sprint needs to be taken out because it's no longer viable, or something else needs to be brought in because it becomes part of that story of what it is you're trying to achieve that sprint. That's your daily Scrum, right? It's not an elaborate status event. It's not a time that you're wasting. It's where you're maintaining the transparency that is required to be able to inspect and adapt. You're serving empiricism. And all of the Scrum events serve empiricism. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, follow, and subscribe. I always reply to comments, and if you want to have a chat about this or anything else Agile, Scrum, or DevOps, then please book a coffee with me through Naked Agility.